Welcome to Session 1, Starting the CHITA Operator Training. You may feel a little nervous about starting this operator training, but if you just follow the program, the operators will respond positively, and I believe you will have an enjoyable experience. In the first session, you will initiate 6 simple activities. First, you will ask the operators to divulge any problems they have with the processes that they work with. You will listen to their responses and start a problem list. Next, you will define what a process is and list some of the organization's processes. And finally, you will introduce the operators to the CHITA program. For Class Activity 1, you will identify process problems. After 1 or 2 operators have sat down, ask the operator something like, "What are some of the problems we have with the processes that you work with?" So, when the first operator comes into the room, say, "Here's the food, help yourself, and there's some drinks over there." And then after the first operator gets his or her food and sits down, ask, "What are some of the problems we have with the processes that you work with?" Using the easel pad, start making a list of the process problems. Now, you just listen. This is your opportunity to engage and emotionally involve the operators in the program. You want to focus on encouraging the operators to mention any problems or concerns that they see, not problems you see. You can add your own concerns to the list later on. Try to get several problems listed and at least one problem from each operator. Do not filter their responses. Avoid discussing any of the problems or complaints in detail, and do not try to solve any of the problems listed at this time. Add to the problem list each week as you progress through the workbook to eventually create an exhaustive list. A good way to start each session is to ask if there are any new problems to add to the list. We will discuss the problem list more in Class Exercise 10. If someone asks, "What is a process?" go to page 8 of the Operator Workbook to begin defining what a process is. And last, you will discuss the purpose of the CHITA program in terms of your organization's needs, and honestly explain how meeting the organization's needs will benefit the operators. Does your company need to improve quality, increase sales, reduce cost, increase profits or cash flow? Most businesses want to increase profits and cash flow. Government agencies look for ways to reduce costs. So, how should the operators benefit from their contribution to continuous improvement of profits and cash flow? CHITA works best if you give the operators a cut of the increase in profits. I recommend giving at least 25% of the profit improvement to the operators. If you give them a financial stake in CHITA, they will be on fire to improve the processes. Page 8 of the Operator Workbook defines what a process is. A process starts with an input, the input is changed, and finally there is an output. Processes occur in many situations and environments. Manufacturing companies, service companies, business offices, and computers all use processes. Some examples of processes: for a bottled water company, filling an empty bottle with water is an example of a manufacturing process. Manually calculating how much water is needed to fill 12,000 bottles is an example of an information process. A computer automatically doing the same calculation is also an example of an information process. Entering a customer's order into a computer workstation is another example of an information process. Printing a copy of the customer's order to give to the production department is an example of a document process. Printing a packing slip when shipping a case of bottled water to a customer is an example of a document process. The carrier that delivers the case of bottled water to the customer is an example of a service process. For our first class exercise, the operators will identify some of the processes that they work with. They will list the processes on page 9 of the Operator Workbook and you will list some of the processes on the whiteboard. After listing a few processes, select some of the processes and write down what the inputs are, how the inputs are changed, and what the outputs are. This will demonstrate to the operators that their jobs consist of processes. Here's what the exercise looks like in the operator workbook. Class Exercise 1 is on page 9 of the operator workbook. Here they will identify and list some of the processes that they work with. Class exercises can be done in class or out of class as homework. Some exercises, like Class Exercise 1, may be best done in class to reinforce the learning. Having the operators complete some of the exercises outside of class will speed up completion of the program. That completes Session 1 of our leader training. You are now ready to begin using CHITA in your organization. You do not need to complete the entire leader training to get started. To start leading the CHITA transformation, you need to complete Session 1 of the leader training, which we have just done, order 1 leader pack and 1 copy of the CHITA Operator Workbook for each of your operators. These can be purchased at CHITAHPO.com. After you receive your leader pack and workbooks, schedule Session 1 of the operator training. As mentioned earlier, each session takes 1/2 hour and can be held during their lunch break. Commit yourself to completing at least 1 session of the leader training each week and simply follow the program step by step. In our next session, we will discuss our first process improvement tool, flowcharts.